So guys, this is gonna be the smallest car we're gonna be vlogging about in this channel so far. And guess what? It's electric. You ready? I'm excited. Topitahan a vlog featuring the Levdeo i3. Lights, camera, action. So before I give you an exterior tour of the Levdeo i3, first of all, let me tell you just a little bit more about the brand. First of all, Levdeo is a Chinese car company that specializes in making electronic vehicles, or electric vehicles in that extent, and they're based in Shandong, China. They were established in 2008, and they also specialize in making other vehicles like sedans, hatchbacks, and even minivans, if I read that properly on my research. In addition to that though, this car was also imported or ordered by our friends from the Autohub Group. Special thanks to Sir Wayne and to Sir Fur for inviting me over and allowing me to check this car out. Now, this car isn't really under their inventory yet, meaning it's not a car for sale just yet. But the thing is though, in this vlog, we're also trying to figure out if this would be the car for you. So if you find this car appealing, make sure to like, comment, subscribe down below, and let us know what your thoughts are for the Levdeo i3. There's, oh my gosh, that's an ant! Sakit na. You guys saw that? Oh, we're going eco-friendly. Okay, but yeah, anyways, the things we do for the vlog. Okay, we're not editing that out, okay, so yeah, might need to see someone for this. Anyways, back to business, okay? But yeah, if this car is for you, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think about the Levdeo i3. We would totally love to hear from you guys. And of course, if you do want to know more about this, make sure to follow the Autohub social media pages. We'll be posting their links down below. Let's start the exterior tour with the front grille of the Levdeo i3. Now for the Levdeo i3, you could see the character of this car from the front. It does have similarities to the likes of the Toyota Wigo and or the Hyundai Eon, or even some brands from the Suzuki, or even a bit of the Citroen, whichever you see it as. But the thing is though, this car does stand out in certain aspects. First of all, from the headlights, you could see blue accents underneath the headlights and on the front grille. The blue signifies that this car is fully electric. When you turn on the headlights, you could also see blue lights inside. In addition to that though, here's your logo. It's right here in the middle, and when you do twist the logo up, or upwards rather, you could be able to get access point to your charging. Plate numbers down there, of course, nothing new there, but you have plastic bumpers, keeping it simple with the rest of the vehicle. After all, this is a very simple city car for you. Now, let's pop the hood. So under the hood of the Levdeo i3, you can really see how much of it is a minimalist, simple yet effective affair all going on right here. Now, the car does have 150 Newton meters of torque. In addition to that, a battery range of 160 kilometers. Everything else you can see under the hood, again, I showed this to you earlier. This is the charging port for your battery, which connects to the electric motor, all right here and accessible and available. Of course, your radiator, your batteries, everything else, it's all here. In addition though, charging time, for those wondering, give or take, it would be around 9 hours, depending on how much you have used the vehicle. Of course, clearly, it would take a lot more to get this car to 100% if, like, let's say you were using this car and you got the battery all the way to 0%. But if, let's say, you used the car only until 40% battery capacity and then you had to get it back to 100, no problem, might be less than 9 hours. Now, more on the things underneath the hood of the Levdeo i3, we do have a special montage with all the figures you might be looking for. It was tricky to memorize, to be honest. That's why we made the montage. Anyways, done. Video, let's go.
The Levdeo i3 has a battery capacity of 15.3 kilowatt hours with a voltage of 144 volts. Cell capacity is at 106.5 ampere hours with a charging time of give or take 9 hours. Charging power is at 2.8 kilowatts with a charging current of 12 amperes at 230 volts. Rated power is at 10 kilowatts with a maximum power of 25 kilowatts. This hatchback is said to have a maximum speed of 100 kilometers per hour and a maximum torque of 150 Newton meters.
So this is the side profile of the Levdeo i3. Pretty fun-sized, huh? Well, I'll tell you what, let's do something. Let me get another car to show you just how small this car really is. So you can really tell between a Ford Ranger and the Levdeo i3 how the size comparisons really are. Pretty much night and day. Now, this car, according to the brochure, does have a net weight of 850 kilograms. Last I checked, a Ford Ranger can carry 1,000 kilograms. Any bright ideas? Okay, so you already saw the Ford Ranger in comparison to the Levdeo i3. Now you may have gotten ideas, but we didn't put it in the back of the pickup, although we were tempted. Nevertheless though, back to business, let's talk about the side profile of the car. Now for the side profile of the Levdeo i3, you could already see how compact this vehicle is, but the doors do open wide and you have big windows for visibility, so parking would not be an issue. Roof rails on top, and of course the handles are integrated properly into the doors so that you don't have a tough time getting access to it when you want to open it, and they do open wide. In addition, this car does have these very quirky tires, these Chaoyang's 155/70 R13 tires, which when you look at it, it's not that big. First of all, the tire width, believe it or not, is as big as my hand. And of course, if you are a cyclist, definitely some bike tires are bigger than this car. Nevertheless though, with the tires size the way it is, it does have blue accents on the wheels which are continuous from the front and rear grille. That does show that this car is fully electric. For the rear of the Levdeo i3, this is what you got. You have your usual suspects in terms of your brake lights up here, down there, your signal lights on the side, as well as your reverse lights. In addition, you do have backup sensors and a backup camera down here, which makes backing up even easier. An added bonus to that though is that this rear door also serves as a glass panel, which does give you added visibility when you're backing up into tight spaces. So this is the back of the Levdeo i3. As you can see, it does have a high load lip, which does make it difficult for you to be able to put in things, especially if you're carrying it. But the upside of it though is that there's a lot of depth in the cargo capacity. So that means you could be able to theoretically put in 2 suitcases or 1 big suitcase in the back of the trunk. These chairs are foldable, and of course you could be able to remove it entirely to maximize all cargo space that you have. Now, one nifty thing I do have to point out here in the back though, in the cargo, is that this is where we were able to put in these things. Now, what is this? For those driving electric cars, you know exactly what this is. This is your charger. Now, this goes in the front. Okay, it looks pretty normal there, just like your typical Tesla. This is how you lock and unlock. And of course, if you are looking for a place to plug it at home, as long as you have a socket that fits this properly, then you got a perfect fit. Okay, so aside from the charger though that you do have in the back, you do have a bag here that's pretty big enough to fit the charger. The bag also contains an early warning device, and of course, in addition, other things included in the back is a tire inflation system kit, which is a good alternative to the spare tire.
Now, before we proceed with the interior tour, let me just show you for a quick bit how light this car is, because this thing's really light. Could you do that in another car?
Okay, so inside the Levdeo i3, you can really see that this car is a perfect mix of premium and practicality. Look, I just turned the engine on and you didn't hear anything. And from the driver's side, I didn't feel any vibrations. That's the benefit of an electric motor. And of course, aircon. Okay, so as I was saying, with the Levdeo i3, you can really see a mix of premium and practicality here. Premium is shown with the beige seats, really adds a bit of a premium character to the vehicle, but of course the practicality is seen with the black surface and the black dashboard and the black steering wheel, which is all plastic, which makes it easier to clean. The blue continues even inside here, that gives it a relaxed look even when you're stuck in Metro Manila traffic. And of course, you know, the drive does get even more relaxing because you have a center console, which is rather intuitive, but it does have a bit of a learning curve. Now the center console, as you can see here, here. This is where you can control your Bluetooth, your car information. This is where you can find out how much battery you have left and how much battery you've been consuming while you're driving. But the thing is though, there is a bit of a learning curve, meaning for you to activate your air conditioning, you actually have to turn on the entire thing first, which means the radio goes on as well, which means your display is seen as well before you can turn on the aircon. Same goes if you have to turn it off or if you have to adjust the temperature, you have to turn everything on first before you get going with what you need done. In addition though, aside from that though, of course, your center console, it's right here. Pretty intuitive as well. It shows how much kilometers you've traveled. It shows how much electricity rather you're consuming, and of course the typical features of your car is there. On the right side, you can see how much battery you have left. Right now, I got this car 70% battery. Now I'm roughly at 40%. I've had this car for 3 days already, so it's been pretty good in that sense. On the left side, you can see your RPM. I talked about this earlier. I talked with the guys. I might talk about this later on, but the RPM, a little intriguing to have it there, seeing as though this is an electric vehicle, because electric vehicles, they don't really have gears, right? But of course, the RPM just shows how much power is consumed when you are driving this car. More on the interior spaces. Here's your steering wheel, pretty light, pretty small, pretty easy to use. And of course, I like though how accessible the horn is. Now with an electric vehicle, you can be driving quiet, right? Driving quiet, that's a normal thing. So how can people hear you? That's the benefit of having a pretty loud horn. And the loud horn is accessible with the touch of a hand. See, So more inside the vehicle, outside the dashboard that we have mentioned, of course, let's talk about the side panels. Now the side panels, it does have that mix of black and beige, and of course a bit in the blue for the speakers, which does add a premium look to this car, but still keeping the practicality that you do need for this compact vehicle. Now being a compact vehicle though, there are things I'm not a fan of. Inside of the driver's side, I'm not a fan of how big this armrest area is, because it's pretty big. So meaning, yes, you could be able to access all of your buttons, all power windows, power locks, and what have you. But the thing is though, it's a little too long though, because it intrudes on my left knee, which does make it feel a little bit tighter when you're driving. And of course, if you are driving, if you're driving, typically, you do need a place to rest your left knee. And if you're a tall guy just like me, it might be tricky. Now you could be able to solve this problem by just backing up your chair a few extra inches, or if you do like to drive in comfort, you could also try driving with your socks for just that little extra comfort. Do people actually drive barefoot?
Pag naka-manual.
Sometimes, diba? Why not? Whichever floats your boat, guys. Completely, we are not judging as long as you're always driving carefully. Okay? But nevertheless, okay, so that's the deal with that, all right? So really, it's always a matter of how comfortable you are behind the wheel, how comfortable you can be to get from point A to point B. Now let's talk about the center console of the Levdeo i3. Now for the center console, piano black surfaces with a bit of blue, it's all consistent here. Your handbrake's in the middle here, okay? So if you do feel like doing those handbrake turns, it's here. But then why would you do that? Again, drive responsibly. Now before anything else, I want to talk about the transmission of the Levdeo i3. Now for the transmission of this car, first of all, when you look at the lever, it does look a lot like a BMW. But that's where it stops and that's where it ends too. For a BMW, it's a bit of a joystick affair there. For this one, not really, because it does move into place. Now, the thing is though, aside from that though, there is a learning curve when using this particular shifter. For this shifter, neutral is at the middle, right? Reverse is when you pull back. Now, if you want to move forward or if you want to move to drive, you have to push the lever all the way forward. That's drive. Now, if you want to go forward, but if you want to drive on a more eco-friendly way or an easier pace, perfect for traffic, you put it to E. E stands for eco, which does lessen the battery consumption, but also lessens your torque by just a small margin. If you're looking for park, don't worry, just leave it in neutral and put up the handbrake, and that's how you activate the parking gear. Okay, so we're here in the back seat of the Levdeo i3. It's not as glamorous as you think, all right? Actually, for a tall guy like me, it ain't glamorous at all. That's my driving position based on my preference, and if I'm a 6-footer sitting behind a 6-footer, really, I might consider other modes of transportation. But nevertheless, if you're a passenger and you're already here, don't worry, you are still in for a treat. The nice part about compact cars is that the cabin is small, so it doesn't take a lot for the air conditioning to get around, meaning it does get pretty chilly here in the back too. In addition though, aside from that, you also do have piano black surfaces here with that beige and black look to your door, so it does add a premium look. The beige seats are still here as well, so it doesn't feel as dark or claustrophobic, especially even though if you are sitting in the back. Now, if you do have to sit in the middle of the back, which sometimes you just really have to, it might be narrow, but the upside you have is that of course you do have access to that cup holder here in the middle, and of course it is a flat floor so that your feet won't have a difficulty if you do have to sit in the middle. In addition, if you do bring kids with you, there are provisions for ISOFIX tethers here, and there are also child locks on the doors. And one more thing about this car. You want to know how narrow this car is? Here, let me show you. That's pretty much it. You can paint a picture yourself. Now, before we hit the road and tell you how this car drives, let me show you just one interesting quirk I found interesting about this car. Here's the key. Now, it's your typical run-of-the-mill key. Let's compare it to another key. This is the key of a Chevrolet Trailblazer. Now, for a Chevrolet Trailblazer, you have the lock-unlock function and of course the function to open the rear door. That's normal. For this car though, you have lock, you have unlock, and you have a question mark. First time I saw a question mark in a key. What's that for, I wonder? Want to press the button? It's an alarm. Aside from it being an alarm though, of course, this does go perfectly well if you are going to be looking for your car in a mall. These things do happen, especially with how small this car is. Sometimes you do bring it to a mall and you can't help it, but you get parked in between a bunch of Trailblazers or Fortuners or something, so you can't find your car. What do? Press the question mark and you'll find your answer. Okay, so driving a compact electric car around the city, obviously everybody does know how practical this car is. And it's even more practical, or you can feel how more practical this car is when you're driving it in tight spaces and even drive-thrus. Everything's a breeze. Now, one of the things I'm not so keen about though is the learning curve you have to take on whenever you do activate the air control system. This car does have automatic climate control, but the thing is, for you to turn it on or off, or even adjust the temperature, you have to turn on the screen first, which thus activates the radio. Wait, that's too loud. Yeah, obviously, you have to turn on the radio, right? And when you turn on the radio, that's when you're able to turn off and on the aircon or adjust the temperatures. So really, if you're not used to it, it could be tricky. But yeah, benefits of the small car, it's easy access. Thank you. Alrighty. See, it's easy to access everything, like the window. If you did this on an SUV, you'd be bending, you'd be reaching down below, or even in a monster truck. In a van. In a lower car, you might be reaching up, but with this one, it's just perfect. Okay, so driving the Levdeo. Okay, so we're on a bit of bumper-to-bumper traffic here in Katipunan, and right now, I have a few things to say about how the Levdeo is. Now, with the Levdeo the way it is, you can really see how easy it is to drive even when you're stuck in traffic. Earlier, we had this on the open roads, now we got a bit of traffic, and even here, you can see how easy it is to take around. Windows are big, so you could be able to change lanes immediately if needed. And of course, your instrument cluster, it's there, it's pretty intuitive. It shows you on the right how much battery you have left. It shows you on the right how much battery you have left. And on the left, it shows you your RPM. Pretty tricky, because why do you have an RPM for a car that technically doesn't have gears? Because electric cars don't have gears. But what it does though, the RPM does show how much effort or how much force is being used on the energy for you to generate power to get this car moving. But nevertheless, you're stuck on traffic. It's pretty quiet. It's pretty easy. The only thing we're hearing right now is the air conditioning. And, you really have to be light-footed when driving this car at low speeds. Now, your run-of-the-mill automatic transmission cars, when you leave it in drive and your foot's on the brake, when you take your foot off the brake, the car naturally lurches forward. It's a normal occurrence for majority of automatics. For this car, it is still an automatic, but when you take your foot off the brake, that doesn't happen. The car still stays in place. But for you to move forward, of course, you step on the accelerator, not a problem there. But it's always a matter of how you properly modulate the pedals so that you could be able to move forward as safely and as smoothly as possible. Brakes are responsive, same scenario. Brakes are very grabby from all speeds, whether you're coming from high speed or low speed. So it's always a matter of how you properly step on it so that you could be able to get the best fuel economy possible and of course the smoothest ride possible as well. The air conditioning is pretty strong, it's pretty solid. Yes, I mentioned about the learning curve earlier when operating the interface of your center console, but if you're able to learn that properly, you're able to enjoy your ride even a lot better. Okay, another thing about this car, cup holders. Not much of it. There's one here. Okay, there's one here. So if you're driving alone, should be perfect. But if let's say you're traveling with 2 or 3 people, like what I'm doing now, you might want to be friendly to the guy in the back. Say hi to Dan, everyone. Hi. Thank you, Dan. Cheers. Okay, so Levdeo i3 recap. Here we go. Okay. So basically, I've had this car for the better part of 3 days. I picked it up on Thursday at the Autohub dealership and now it's Saturday. We're taping here at QC and I've been able to experience the car for what it is. I've taken this car mostly around the city and really it's an amazing car to have. First of all, around the city, driving through traffic does exist, but traffic's not much of a bummer because of how easy this car is to take around. The thing is though, I was caught in some bad weather last Thursday, so I wasn't able to bring it as far as I wanted it to go. Meaning I was mostly worried about how the floods were. And so really, when the floods do happen, you do have to be very particular with where you take this car. And especially this car, seeing as though it's electricity, you don't want to be taking this thing on the flood. But the thing is though, good thing there's a lot of infrastructure that is available. I parked it at a nearby mall, and that nearby mall did have elevated parking, which was ideal if you do get caught in bad weather. And believe it or not, the thing is with malls now, some malls do also have charging areas where you could be able to charge this electric car, so it is a win to be able to have that around. In addition to the added practicality, yes, the charging is a win, but because it's electric powered, this car is very quiet. Whenever you drive this car in the city or wherever you go, what you're gonna be hearing are advisories from the car, meaning your seatbelt warning, maybe your radio, only that. You'll hear your air conditioning, but that's it. Your engine, you will hear a droning sound, but that's pretty much normal for all electric-powered vehicles. And then the only thing you'll also hear are probably the outside noises, the noises from the cars honking their horns, even the whistles from the policemen, you could hear that, but nevertheless, you won't hear anything else inside the car. So it does have a very serene approach to it whenever you do drive the car. And lastly, the performance of the car. With regards to the performance of the car, yes, it's quiet, it's also light, and because it's light, the horsepower and the torque that this car does provide is very adequate for its body. Now, there's no mandate yet whether this car is or is not allowed to be taken on the highways, but if you do need something easy to zip around on the city, this car would be for you. Speaking of all natural and organic, we want to thank our sponsors for helping make this show possible. Thank you very much to Happy Go Nutty for sending these jars over on today's shoot, which we were able to enjoy before we got the cameras rolling. Now, Happy Go Nutty does have a blue jar, which is chunky, and an orange jar, which is creamy, both of which have no sugar, and it only uses Himalayan salt as a flavoring. And really, it's an amazing snack to have with you, especially if you're on the healthy side. So these jars are for you if you are the type who likes your peanut butter the all-natural way. They're available in Shopee and Lazada. We're going to be posting their shop links in the description box down below. So ladies and gentlemen, this officially concludes our exclusive coverage of the Levdeo i3. Thank you very much to the Autohub Group for inviting us over to be able to try this car out. Special thanks to Sir Wayne and of course to Sir Fur as well for allowing us to be able to try this car out. Truly, it's been an amazing experience. If you are curious about this car or if you want to see the other products the Autohub Group does have to offer you, make sure to check out their social media pages, which we'll be posting in the link box down below. In addition though, to everybody else tuning in, this concludes our vlog. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow us on social media, and until then, we'll see you on the next vlog.